Chapter 10. When the car started moving, Alastor began speaking about his radio station. "I know you'll love it, Vaggie," Alastor beamed while rubbing Vaggie's waist. "It's where I usually spend most of my days informing all of Hell of my accomplishments and feats." "Have you told all of Hell about me yet?" Vaggie asked, reluctantly letting Alastor hold her against his side. "That's what we're about to do, dear," Alastor replied. "Aren't you excited?" "Ecstatic," Vaggie said with as much enthusiasm as she could muster. For the rest of the car ride, Vaggie was silent while Alastor chatted merrily about his station. When the limo finally pulled up to the station, Vaggie's jaw dropped wide open. It was a massive building with telegraph wires and towers strewn all over. The building was designed and built to look like a radio station from the 1930s, right down to the old fancy lettering. Alastor chuckled at Vaggie's expression and said, "She's beautiful. Isn't she, dear? She's been here since 1934, 85 years strong. What do you think?" Alastor climbed out of the car waiting for Vaggie to exit and give her response. "It's impressive," Vaggie said looking out the car door. Alastor smiled widely, taking Vaggie's arm and lifting her out of the car before he said, "Just wait till you see the inside." Vaggie followed Alastor into the building and found out that he wasn't joking. Inside the radio station, it was decked out to high heaven with the 1930s theme and decor, with stylish seats and ham radios everywhere. Everything shined because the entire building was polished and waxed to look absolutely immaculate. Vaggie looked around in awe until a little assistant, a short demon seemingly consumed with a black fiery mist, ran up to Alastor. "Hey, boss," the assistant called out with a wide smirk revealing shiny white teeth that matched the white orbs that made up his eyes. "Oh, who's the dame? Is she a special guest? More importantly, is she single?" "Oswald, this is my soon-to-be wife, Vaggie," Alastor said, Vaggie's heart to skip a beat immediately. Oswald's face fell in embarrassment as he said, "Oh, sorry, boss. Congratulations." "Wait," Vaggie said in shock. "We aren't engaged. I don't even like you." "Yes, we are," Alastor replied without missing a beat. "You agreed to it." "No, I didn't," Vaggie exclaimed. "When did that happen?" "When you accepted my engagement ring back at the manor," Alastor said with a devilish smirk. Vaggie's face fell in realization as Oswald snickered in the background. "You bastard!" Vaggie yelled. "You tricked me. Just like how your ancestors were tricked by the Spaniards," Alastor said arrogantly. Vaggie then tried to spring on Alastor to start clawing his face. Alastor merely held Vaggie back with a hand on her forehand and chuckled at her efforts. "Damn, boss," Oswald said bemusedly. "Your dame has a temper. I like her." "Oswald, how many times must I tell you not to swear in the presence of a lady?" Alastor chided without changing his current pose. Oswald cleared his throat and said, "Of course. My apologies, boss." Vaggie backed away, stood up as tall as she could, and yelled, "Oh, you two hypocrites can go fuck yourselves." "Hey!" Oswald snarled, noticeably cracking his knuckles. "No swearing at the boss, missy." "Boss, you want me to deal with her?" "No need, Oswald," Alastor said, delivering Vaggie a wicked smirk. "She will be punished once we return home." "Didn't know you were into BDSM, boss," Oswald said with a sick smirk of his own. "How kinky." Alastor chuckled out loud and said, "Oh, Oswald, you have a delightfully dirty sense of humor." Meanwhile, Vaggie was paused in a panic. She had to fix this situation. She couldn't go home yet. Vaggie remembered what Angel said before, so reluctantly, she took a deep breath and swallowed her pride. "I'm sorry," Vaggie said as sincerely as she could muster, instantly getting Alastor's attention. "Please forgive me. I was just shocked. That's all. I'm just not used to moving this fast. Please don't make me go back. I'm really enjoying getting out of the house with you." I'd hate to cut it short already. Alastor smiled happily and said, well, since you apologized, you shall not be punished. Vaggie sighed in relief as Alastor held her to his side. Looks like you found a good one, Oswald said. Congratulations again, boss. I'm happy for ya. Are you going to come on air today to announce it? Yes, indeed, Alastor said happily. All right, boss. Oswald replied, turning on his flames and using them to hover in the air. I'll go clear the booth. We're going on air, Vaggie said, pulling away from Alastor in surprise. Yes, we are, my darling, Alastor said excitedly. Vaggie paused for a moment. This could be her chance, but how would she use it? Alastor held Vaggie in a hug and said, oh, darling, don't be nervous. It's not hard at all. Realizing Alastor interpreted her silence as nerves, Vaggie said, it doesn't sound so easy to me. Oh, no, Alastor said. It's quite simple. You'll get it in no time. I don't know, Vaggie said, feigning shyness as she pulled away from his grip. No need to be shy, Vaggie. Alastor said, taking her arm in his. I'll help you through it. Okay, Vaggie said calmly. Good, Alastor said, walking down the hall with his betrothed on his arm. Now follow me, dear. We'll make this announcement and be gone in a jiffy. Soon, the duo was in the extravagant radio recording room. Vaggie marveled over the old-fashioned radio equipment. It was all so old and so beautiful, but she forced herself to stop looking at it to figure out what to do next. Alastor sat Vaggie in her chair in front of a microphone while he and Oswald got everything ready. Vaggie sat in the chair and watched everything happening while praying for a solution. All she could think of was to drop hints that Charlie would understand, hopefully. If she was sneaky enough, Charlie would hopefully come to her rescue. All right, Vaggie, my dear, Alastor said, taking his seat. Are you ready? As ready as I can be, Vaggie said, sincerely nervous. Oh, good, Alastor said. Because we're on in 3.2.1. Hello, hell. This is your favorite radio demon interrupting your scheduled program for a special announcement. I have someone very special to introduce to you all. Go on, dear. Say hello. Hello? Vaggie said, startled by the echo in her voice. Alastor gave Vaggie an encouraging motion and said, go on, my darling. Introduce yourself. I'm Vaggie, Vaggie said calmly. I'm the manager of the Happy Hotel. And I'm Alastor, Alastor said cheerfully. Vaggie's future husband. Yeah. As of this morning, Vaggie said with a nervous chuckle. And we've decided to announce it here on the radio waves to let all you fellow listeners know. Alastor said merrily. Yeah, I'm engaged to this shitlord, Vaggie said with another nervous chuckle. I never thought I'd say that. It's a surprise for me, too. I hope you're all listening. We're pleased to announce that all of hell is invited to celebrate our wedding. Alastor interrupted. That's right. Every one of you is invited to enjoy our celebration. There will be music, dancing, free food, and free drink with overflow venues extending all over hell. We promise it shall be quite the spectacle. Vaggie took a deep breath and asked, does that mean that Charlie, the devil's daughter, can come? Of course, Alastor said, much to Vaggie's surprise. Vaggie took another chance and asked, how about angel dust? Alastor visibly froze. His features contorted as if he was trying to surprise some unbridled rage under the surface, but he quickly composed himself and said, only if his new owners agree to it. Oh, yes, Vaggie said innocently. The auction. Right, that reminds me, Alastor said, returning to his upbeat tone of before. This Friday evening, I will be hosting an auction in my home. The main ticket item will be the former porn star, Angel Dust. The event is invitation only, so you will know if you're invited and how to bid on the items ahead of time. Vaggie smiled, knowing that Charlie now knew everything if she was listening. The wedding will be held a week after in a special location to be announced later, Alastor finished. So, that's how much freedom I have left. Vaggie muttered to herself. What was that, Vaggie, my love? Alastor asked. I said that's a lot of planning for me, Vaggie lied. Oh, you silly little thing, I'll do all the work, Alastor reassured. You won't have to lift a finger. I won't? Vaggie asked in genuine surprise. No, I've been planning the wedding with one of your more distant relatives, Alastor said. Vaggie stiffened. What? That was supposed to be a surprise, but we're meeting him today for lunch, Alastor said merrily. Isn't that just great? How wonderful, Vaggie said stiffly. And with that, my dear audience, I now return you to our scheduled programming, Alastor said as the mix clicked off and the radio returned to playing jazz music. Vaggie breathed a sigh of relief as Oswald burst in the door and said, Hey, boss. Would you accept a bet made in person? That angel dust is something else. Alastor turned around in his chair and replied, sadly, you must make a high auction price to win angel dust. You pay me pretty well, Oswald argued. I can afford it. Alastor looked over to Vaggie and said, Vaggie, could you go wait out front? Vaggie blinked in surprise but nodded, okay. As she got up from her chair and made her way out of the room. Before long, Vaggie was sitting back in the lobby back in a chair with a paper cup of water in her hands. Vaggie was satisfied for the moment as she drank her water. Now, all of hell knew what Alastor was up to, but she was still trapped with him. Or was she? Vaggie looked out the front door. No one was really watching the entrance besides the secretary, so if she wanted to take a chance, now was the time. Vaggie finished her drink, crumpled her paper cup and tossed it in the garbage can before she rose from her seat and dashed out of the radio station as quickly as her sandals would allow before the secretary had a chance to notice.
I'm glad you enjoyed that video/gameplay. Just remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Until next time, goodbye!